Welcome to Tea Time, my friends, a place where I muse about my gender transition experience and in the process aim to comfort and inspire others to a greater level of self-awareness. I am Artemis. Today we are enjoying what Rose and Vine calls Cocoa Rose Petit Four tea. It is a honeybush base with dark chocolate shavings and rose bits in there. I generally don't like rose, but this is a really good combination. And right here before Valentine's Day, I must say, it is pretty doggone romantic. So, we're going to be enjoying that today while we talk about, another controversial topic, as I tend to do on this channel. And that is the political correctness that we have seen a rise in today. And I want to nip it in the bud right now as far as it pertains to the transgender community. So, I will say that I'm a huge fan of George Carlin, and he has a fantastic quote from one of his books, which is that political correctness is just fascism pretending to be manners. And if you let it really sink in for a while, and you get past that whole relation to fascism, it really makes sense. And I've not felt good about political correctness for quite some time now, and that kind of hit the nail on the head for me. And as far as it pertains to at least me, as a transgender individual, I will be happy to put this out there. While the WHO does not consider transgender to be a mental illness, I personally will say that it is still a disorder. It is still a mental disorder. And I know I'm going to get all kinds of hate for that, but let me go through this with you and further tie it into how it goes back to being politically correct. So, for starters, being politically correct means using words alternative to what the current words are for things, generally just because somebody finds it offensive, which is a dangerous, slippery slope to start traveling down. And you will probably see a lot of people in the transgender community that are very, very averse to saying that being transgender is a disorder of any kind. Not this transgender. I thoroughly believe that it is a disorder, and we need to call it like it is. A disorder does not mean dysfunctional. And we need to be very, very careful to stop using alternative words just because we don't feel right about them or that they make us feel bad. That's also another myth, that things make you feel bad, which I'm not going to cover in this video, because that's a whole nother tangential subject. But the majority of people, the average person, we have to have a baseline for which we can create things to systems to understand from. They're not meant to paint people into boxes. They're not meant to discriminate. It's literally just so that we can navigate things a little bit more easily. Sans emotional context. That's where things are getting muddy. The average person, the typical person, is going to be born with a brain that aligns with whatever their physical genitalia markers are. So a woman who up here thinks that she's a woman and down here looks like a woman. And the same thing goes for men. When you have somebody who up here thinks that they are something different than what's going on down here, that is a disorder. It is not ordered from what we would normally expect a person to be. And again, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But we have this cultural political correctness that says, disorder means something bad. It means there's something wrong with you. It means you're dysfunctional, which not true whatsoever. And I'll be the first to admit, yeah, it's kind of screwed up that I was born with a brain that says, nah, man, you're a dude. And then the rest of this doesn't match up. Does it make me dysfunctional? No, not at all. I've experienced some difficulties in life, sure, and certainly I spent the first huge hunk of my life really confused and just, if anything, that my dysfunction came from not recognizing that I had a disorder. So when I finally realized that, when I finally started to clean that up, was when I realized my full functional potential. Owning up to the facts as they are, rather than trying to dance around what the truth is because you ascribe meanings to words that aren't there in the definition, only serves to muddy the waters, make things more complicated for both you and everybody around you trying to understand. Just own up to it. I'm disordered, but I'm perfectly functional. There is a lot of empowerment to be had when you recognize some things that are just deviating from the normal. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. In fact, that can play to one of your strong suits. That can give you insight into things that other people may not have. Now, it doesn't make you any better than anybody else, for that matter. It just gives you something different, something unique, and you can play that up to your advantage. It still is a disorder. And I think once you address that elephant in the room, that, yeah, it is a little weird, or at the very least different, that you were born with certain parts and you decided, yeah, we're going to chop those off, or we're going to add some things here. Really not necessarily any different than some serious body modification, which, does still raise some eyebrows. So, anyways, own it, tell the truth, think about your feelings before you start trying to change other people's perspectives, and be empowered rather than playing the victim for something that can work to your advantage, if you just choose to see it that way. So anyway, I welcome comments, as always, in the comment section on any and all things. Until next time.